Welcome everybody to Powergrip Podcast and episode number 11. My name is Teemu Nissinen and I'm your host. Today I have a great guest who is a PDGA Hall of Famer and co-owner and disc designer for one of the leading disc golf manufacturers in the world. Please welcome Tomas Ekström.
Hello.
PG Podcast.
So let's start with some basic questions. Who are you and where do you come from?
Yeah, my name is Tomas Ekström. I come from Sweden, of course, and a little town in the north of Sweden called Skellefteå. We used to, when we were talking to Americans, we used to say like "she left you," and they kind of pronounce it right.
Mm-hmm.
I've been born here and lived here for all my life.
Okay, so
yeah, and I'm 50 years old.
Yeah. So you never even part-time lived anywhere else?
No.
Okay. So your home have been in Skellefteå for 50 years?
Yes. It's kind of
If you would have to choose other place to live than Skellefteå, where would you live?
Been thinking about it now when I'm getting older.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to the States so many times. I really like to be in the States.
Okay.
It feels like my second home. I like the people, I like the lifestyle. So I would say actually Florida would suit me pretty good, especially during the winters because we are living so far north. We don't see the sunlight in like 3 months, and so I believe Florida would be my yeah.
So the perfect combination would be all summers here, perfect Skellefteå, 24 hours daylight, and then dark winter months, some Florida beaches and
yeah. But on the other hand, I still like the winter, especially when it's snow on the ground. I don't like in the fall and the spring. Spring is beautiful because you can see the sun, but in January when we have like 1 meter snow, then it's perfect. It's really good. Then you can ride snowmobile and have fun.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Perfect. When, where, and how did you discover sport of disc golf?
That was a long time ago. That was like 1983, I guess. I think it was like 1983. Could be 1982. I can't really remember. I was 13 years old, and a guy that actually came to the village we live in, which is a suburb to Skellefteå, came here as a youth leader or whatever you can call it. For kids, you can go to a house and have fun, like play pool or floorball or whatever. And he started to work there, and he had picked up like frisbee golf, which was called back then, still is in Finland. He had picked it up in Stockholm, and so when he moved back, he really liked play disc golf or frisbee golf. So he showed us some cheap frisbees, and we made a obstacle course with trees, and you can hit a barn door or whatever, and we really liked that because we didn't have much to do during the summers anyway. If you don't like football or soccer, it's just you just hang around and did some stupid things. So we picked it up and started to play. But I would say in 84, then we made a kind of a pole hole course. I think I made the poles you should hit, which mostly look like a T sign today. And 85 we went down a little bit south to a bigger city, and I had a pole hole course already that was installed in 1981 or something. And then for me it really took off because it was a completely different thing to play on a basket. It was much more fun. And at that time Innova had started to make the bevel edge discs, and it felt more like a sport, not just a frisbee game when you doing it on the beach. So so in 85 we went down on in the spring, and then in the fall I competed for the first time on a district championship, which is between parts of the country.
Yeah.
Actually, I won the first tournament in Open, even if I was like 15 years old.
Yeah. So what was it there already when you guys played the holes to the poles? So you guys didn't have the baskets, but was there like not like a proper tee pads, but was the course same every time, or was it more like you guys made all kind of different holes?
You mean like safari golf or something? No, it was the same. We had a kind of a course, so you can actually compare your score.
Yeah.
There were a few guys that played actually. I believe it was almost like 20 people in the beginning. But so in 85 we saw those pole holes, and we need to have this. And the kind of house where the youth gather together every night was actually a church. So we actually asked the church to buy the pole holes, and they did it. So in 86 we had 9 baskets.
Okay.
And we made our first 9-hole course.
PG Podcast.
Back then, I'm interested where you got the discs or frisbees back then. It wasn't probably a local supermarket.
No, not the discs, but the frisbees I actually bought in the city.
Okay.
Because that was a mold 100 from VMO, and they had it on a, what is it called? Kids store.
Okay.
Where they have
it's
toys.
Like toy.
And that particular one was a really good one. It flew great.
Like 100 something grams, like
133.
Okay.
Yeah.
So still like light, and you have to throw more or less like a spike hyzer.
Yeah. But you can rip it like for 100 meters.
Okay.
On in a tailwind.
Yeah, just give the height.
I didn't do that
hyzer
back then, but some guys did. And then the 70 mold came, and 71, which is unheard of these days. And then Innova started in 83, releasing the Eagle, and soon after they came with the Arrow, which completely changed the sport.
How did you get your hands on those?
Yes, those I had to order from the Swedish Frisbee Association.
Okay.
And it cost like 75 kroners, which is like close to 750 euros.
Yeah,
or $8.
$8, yeah.
And they were like more kind of DX, so you can still buy a DX for around like $9 or something.
Yeah. So the price haven't really changed.
No, not at all.
In 35 years.
Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. But was it that the Swedish Disc Golf Association, they ordered the discs from states, and then Swedish players could order?
Yes.
Yeah. So the association was kind of the dealer, and they made some money from it. I guess so.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But soon after we started to, when I started in the game, like 86 or 87, then Discovering the World was kind of big. They had a newspaper or a catalog that came out like 4 times a year, or maybe 2 times a year, with all the new stuff like XDs, and it was crazy. It was, and they had some custom stamps on the discs. So we started to order directly from the States, me and my friends.
Yeah.
So we just gather up like 10 people. Or what do you want?
Okay, and then
I remember I ordered like 30 AVRs, like 20 rocks or whatever, just in one. That's gonna be for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So it was good days.
Yeah, I have heard that you have been a very big also since the beginning. You have always wanted to try everything and review everything, and you have had you wanted to know like almost like how every disc fly and tell people about that. Can you tell a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I started when it wasn't that many molds. I just started, and it came with like maybe 2 or 3 molds every year. But that was pretty much it. Discraft had a few, but they were kind of Not very good at that time, but I tried them anyway. They have the Phantom Plus and the Phantom, and they have a Juice, which was, they were too flippy, and I didn't like the plastic back then, even though the Phantom Plus was kind of the first champion or obstacle or whatever you can call it, type of plastic. But back then it felt just weird. It felt like a soap in the hand. So we didn't like that. I bought pretty much every disc that I could find in the Discovering the World just to try them out, or my friends bought something. And every new player in this sport will try, different discs and what suits them or not. So in the beginning, in the first 10 years, I just, tried discs for myself.
Yeah.
And I believe it was like 1990 or something. I was sponsored by Innova, so I could test all of their stuff, and then I started to work with a guy that actually imported discs from all the manufacturers.
Okay.
Mats Bengtsson from Helsingborg, called Knickarps Disc Golf Mecca. So I helped him with his catalog, and also in the end I took all of his orders through email, because he refused to have a computer.
Okay.
So I had to, all the orders came to me, and I had to call up him every day. You should pack like 1 Cobra, 2 rocks. It was kind of a nightmare. Anyhow, that was good for me, because he sent me, a lot of free discs from all the brands, so I can test them out.
Yeah.
And during that time, I actually, started to see on the disc that this should be like overstable or understable, or have great glide, or
you started to realize how the kind of the shape of the disc.
Yeah, and like a nerd I am in disc golf, I wanted to learn more.
Yeah.
In the mid-90s, I was on kind of a high level, so I can actually easily tell when I signed on for Millennium, we were sent like 100 discs, and then I can just pick them and see, okay, this is a good one, this is a bad one, and then I went out on the field and tested it. This was a flat top, for example, which I hate, still do. Because they don't fly as good as a smooth, nice dome.
Yeah.
So that's why I picked up this this designing thing, I guess. But I also have to add that I started to review discs when the internet came, and people started to have a PC at home. There were a page called Disc Golf Sweden, which I started with a couple of friends, and I started to write reviews on every disc I have ever played with or received during those days.
And your nickname was Professor Plust.
Yes, because that came from I think there was a guy in the States that was called like Dr. Disc or something. So I just. Okay, I'm gonna be the professor. I just remember.
Professor Plust.
PG Podcast.
You are also one of the all-time best European disc golfers. Could you tell me more about tournaments in Sweden and Europe in late 80s and early 90s? What I can remember, there were obviously smaller fields, but some of the tournaments were still kind of big, like Stockholm Disc Golf Open have always been big, except for just a few years. When that actually started, because they run at that for years.
That was like 79 or something.
Okay, so it's been from...
Yeah.
And always in the Järva?
No.
Järva came in like 90s or something.
It started in... the first time I won was like 89.
Okay.
And that was in a park almost in the central of Stockholm.
Oh, okay. So
it had moved at least on 3 locations.
When Järva then came to that was like
95.
Okay, 95. Yeah. But what was the tournaments more like? Same 30, 40, 50 people was there. Like you can you can actually tell everyone by name. Okay.
Pretty much, yes. Yeah. Especially the bigger ones, or you can call, when you travel, there's always a couple of local guys you don't know, and they probably heard of you, so they were kind of, there's the long-haired guy.
Yeah, famous long hair. You and your good friend, who is also a co-owner of Latitude 64, Svante Eriksson, were one of the first sponsored players, I guess in Europe, but for Millennium in early 90s. How that happened back then?
That's kind of a fun story. Yeah, we went to the Worlds in 95, I believe it was, and during the Fly Mart, Millennium just have released their new disc, which was the Tachyon LS or something.
Okay.
And I think they also had a mid-range, the Aurora, but I can't be sure. I can't really remember. I think it was only the Tachyon. But it was a completely new plastic, and it felt so good. And it came from the Innova molds. The LS was probably based on I can't remember the name, but it came from the Viper, and they made a less stable Viper, and that was the LS. But we fell in love with the plastic. It felt great. And the guy that was running the Millennium at the time was Harold Duval and John Hauk. And both of them, at least one of them I knew, or Harold I have met before. I played with him a couple of years earlier. And like I said, I was sponsored by Innova since, I don't know, 93 to 95 or something.
Okay.
So they knew a little bit about me, and we have placed, high up. Me and Fredrik Granåsen won the world's doubles for 2 years in a row.
That was in 93,
94.
Okay.
And we finished, I was 13th the first year, 7th 1 year, and 6th 1 year, I believe. And then Svante came and took a 4th place.
Okay.
So we made a kind of a big impact, especially on those Americans. Had never heard about us, and then a couple of guys from Sweden come up, and
top 10 every time.
Yeah, pretty much. And so anyhow, 95 we picked them up at the Fly Mart, and then we went home. We didn't have any emails back then, so we just had to borrow a fax machine to fax John Hauk, which was running a company called Circular Productions in Texas. So we just sent him a mail. We kind of finished pretty good, and we are, ruling in Sweden right now. We would really like to play for you. And great guys.
Okay.
And from what John have said, we are the first that was sponsored by Millennium.
Okay, like in the world.
In the world, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was the new plastic? Was it the kind of the CE type, like a first champion?
No. That came later.
Okay.
This plastic was more like, I don't think many people remember those, but one disc that people might remember is the 9-time KC T-Bird. That was the plastic.
Okay, so it's more like it's not like DX, it's more like a pro.
It's more like a pro plastic, but I would say it's a better pro plastic than they have today.
Okay.
Yeah. So coming from DX or and stepping up to that type of plastic was like, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
But they broke in a little bit different, the DX, because they got skewed instead of just bits and pieces are falling off the disc.
Yeah.
So and then a couple of years later, the Champion came out.
Yeah.
Q Sentinel or called Quantum or something.
Yeah, Quantum. Yeah. And I if I know the story right, it was like Innova made first to Millennium. They kind of tested the new Champion edition or Champion plastic with Millennium, and then so Millennium was actually the first brand to get the kind of premium plastics.
Could have been, yeah.
And then
QGLS, QMS, and which I didn't like. I don't know why, but it wasn't that stable as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And also the the original Millennium Plastic. I know that Kenny Climo really liked that one.
Okay.
Actually, during one Worlds, I believe it was 96 or 97, he came up to me, "Hey, have you tried those new Omegas? They are money." And he actually had the prototypes, and he gave one to me, or maybe two. Try them out there, because I was throwing mostly putters. I didn't have much of mid-ranges. Yeah, actually I did. Yeah, anyhow, I really like to play with the putter.
Yeah, maybe also the rumors kind of grow, but what I have understood and heard stories that you kind of threw putters like up to plus 100 meters.
Yeah, I can't, remember, but I think I threw them like 120 or 30 meters.
Yeah, so like a long way.
Yeah.
And that was your main weapon for all kind of really holes. Putter you can do.
Stable beaded AVRs were my main weapons the first years I came from the States, and they called me the AVR man.
Okay.
Because they are throwing like cobras and stingrays or stuff, and I threw them like flips. 30 meters.
Yeah.
with a putter.
Yeah.
But then the whippet came and then changed everything.
Yeah.
For me anyway.
Yeah, that was like just more like a big flex shots.
Yeah.
PG Podcast.
You were the first guy who beat King Climo on his prime and also on his home course in Florida.
Not his home course.
But like,
close.
Home state at least.
Home state, yeah.
When this happened, and can you tell some sort of story about how the tournament went?
Yeah, I think it was in 96.
96. So that was when you were playing Millennium.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was kind of a bit. We went to the state to Florida Triple Crown, and we felt that this should be a good practice adventure or whatever, because we couldn't throw, up here in the north.
Okay. Was it like early in the season?
Yeah, it was like in February or something, March. So they came, I of course I putted and throwing in nets during the winter, but we haven't been playing a lot. So there was 3 legs on the Triple Crown. The first one was in Garrett Yarker is born. I can't remember where he lives. Anyway, there were 3 legs. Anyway, so the first tournament I was placed like 13, and then we moved to Melbourne in Florida. I can't remember what placement I had. And then we went to Orlando for the last leg, and then I played solid, I would say. Yeah, it felt good. I was and I was playing with Kenny all the time, and Brad Hammock. I can't remember if Ron Russell was. I think Ron Russell was also playing, and a few other known guys. I don't think Barry Schultz was playing at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, but I managed to beat him, and he was kind of upset, which was kind of good to see.
Yeah.
He was throwing his metal mini in the trees and stuff like that. It was kind of neat to see. I love Kenny. He's a good guy. But
was it for you that, like, you knew that before, or already that time, that you can beat the best players in the world, or was it for you like eye-opening experience that, okay, now I know that I can beat?
No, not really. Of course, Kenny have always been my idol, because he was already winning when I started to go to the state. I've been in the States since 1991.
He was already 2-time world champion.
Yeah, maybe. But then I went to the VFDF championship, which was more like all-round overall competition. So 93, when we first came there, that was the first time, and he was a superstar already back then. He was winning everything.
Yeah.
So he felt kind of unbeatable.
Yeah.
But, we played pretty even with him, even though he always, pulled off like one sick round, like, okay, he beat me like by 9 shots or whatever. So he was very consistent. But I guess, when people saw that coming from Europe, and maybe Jesper, that came after could see that, they are not unbeatable. I can beat them.
Yeah.
if Thomas can, I can beat him. Because Jesper was beating me already as a junior.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Then I have a question. What is your greatest tournament memory?
I have bits and pieces. I think one of the best, wins I've had, that was Stockholm Disc Golf Open in 97 or 98. I can't really remember. But I was playing against Ron Russell.
Okay. Ron Russell came to Sweden.
Yeah. It could have been later, but I'm so bad at years. But actually, I played pretty good, and I putted really good during that round. And Ron kind of turned around and said, "Oh, Thomas," like he was kind of surprised that I just beat him.
Yeah, just shredded the course.
Yeah, and that was kind of one of that stuck to my brain.
Yeah,
because he became the world champion. Even he might have been or was the next year. Yeah, so he was a really respected player.
Yeah.
So that was one moment, and then one moment was I birdied a 175-meter hole with a whippet during the Worlds 1993 with a putt, with an 8-meter putt, and that was caught on camera. That video is still on YouTube, but they didn't pick that clip.
Okay.
That was kind of sad because that was kind of a lot of people talked about it because it was a par 4 and I just took a bird or an eagle on it, and that was a huge thing. So I have some, bits and pieces. When me and Frederick won the doubles, I also made a sick, shot with like almost 170, which we made a 2 on, and those things are more in my head than just, winning Skellefteå Open.
Yeah. But you can say that you were one of the like longer throwers. Yeah. Also, yes. That you could throw like a whippet like 170.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, which for nowadays the people think about whippet is more like I guess speed number is 6. So it's
6, 7.
Yeah. So it's quite impressive and not much glide. So it's not meant to be like a distance driver.
No, but you had to throw it like high, like a big Annie.
Yeah. And work that way.
Yeah.
PG Podcast.
Can you tell a little bit about disc and the equipment on like 90s? They were quite different than what we have in 2020. So so the people understand how the like shot shapes and the game overall have evolved in the last 20-30 years, because it was completely different game back then.
Yeah, some people think it was a big difference. I still think it wasn't that a huge difference.
Okay.
Of course, the discs are different today. There are much wider rims, which felt really awkward when they started to widen the rims.
Yeah.
I couldn't grip. I mean, I remember when the Orc came out.
Okay.
And it was so, I can't
so wide.
Wrap my fingers around this big rim. And today it's more like, that's like a speed
9.
Is it a 9? Yeah, okay. So
9 or 10.
Yeah.
Not more than that.
So, but I think the biggest change came 92 or something when they released the Whippets and the Vipers, especially the Star Viper, which was crazy overstable. Even today it was overstable, So you the first 10 years or whatever 6 years in my career, I had to throw like spike hyzers. But when the material got better, I started to play more like I want to throw it flat. That was my main focus. Just throw the disc flat. I mean, then we're talking board flat, not like you're thinking. Yeah, I threw it flat. No, that's a hyzer. Because I had really good AVRs back then, and you had to throw it like flat.
Yeah, then fly straight.
Yeah, because if you threw it like it's like hyzer, then it just took off.
Yeah, to the left. Yeah.
So I really practiced on throwing flat. So I went from spike hyzer to flat, and then the Whippet and the Viper came, and the ram, which was even worse. Then everything was Anheuser.
Oh, okay.
Every single shot was Anheuser. And that became my favorite shot, and still is
like
kind
a
of
flex shot.
Yeah. And I guess it has to do with the kind of the arm speed you have. It's easier to kind of force over something.
Well, was it like, if we think about like a whippet and it didn't came with the premium plastic first, so it was like a DX plastic. How those discs like beat up? Like, could you have a flippy whippet?
Yes.
Okay, so it is possible, but it still kind of fights back in the end. But
you broke them in, and you had probably 3 in the bag.
Okay.
And one was really flippy. You can actually roll with it, and then you have one straight or stable, and then you have one overstable.
But so back in the days, if we go to 90s, like nowadays, people have 10, 15 different molds in the bag, and they have it's more like a rule than a norm that you have at least 20 discs in your bag. You can have up to 25 easily something. But was it when back in the days, you guys had 3 whippets, 2 AVRs, and then 2 mids, and then you guys played more with, let's say, 7 to 10 discs, and that was it.
But I still think it is, but it just depends on the course.
Okay.
If I go play the yellow course at Disco Terminal, I'm probably gonna use at most 5 molds.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same, but you're still carrying
it's a lot of discs,
15 to 20 discs, just because someday it's gonna be headwind. Then I need something else. And that was kind of the same, but I still think today, I mean, if you like the Explorer, you will have one fresh and you will have one beaten in. And I think that hasn't changed really.
Yeah, but
you have to find those molds that you really,
But
overall,
because we have so much more molds, so
to choose from,
PG Podcast.
Let's go to next segment, and it's called Latitude 64. So year was, what I'm guessing is 2005, that you, Svante Eriksson, Johan Åström, and David Berglund wanted to start the disc golf company, where the idea started to start making own discs, and after that, how everything really got started.
It started by just sitting down, drinking coffee on the course, and we talked about the discs and how hard can it be to make a disc. That was kind of the subject we talked about. And I told Johan and David, no, not David, Johan and Svante that time, that I actually have made some in my computer.
Really?
Yeah, I started to fiddle around with a CAD program, which is a 3D program. I didn't know shit, but I managed to make a disc, which I had sent a picture of to Dave Dunnepace.
Okay.
Yes. And Dave, he looked at it, and I said, what do you think about this one? I believe it's going to be, overstable and pretty fast, and but it will have a good glide because it has kind of a pop top to it, where that was kind of, it mostly looked like a fastback.
Yeah.
Anyhow, he responded that's, it's going to fly pretty much as you say. I don't know if he was honest, because I wouldn't be if people are sending me pictures.
Is this the perfect?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot more to it than just a picture also, of course. But he was, and we talked a little bit later. I met him I can't remember. We talked a little about discs, and it was kind of, from what I heard, he really liked that I was so, interested in his work and in discs in general, how they fly, and so that's why I guess he answered politely. Anyhow, and the guys that, okay, so you already made a disc. Yeah, kind of. And we asked, okay, this is a great idea. And then David came back home from Stockholm. He was leaving Stockholm and moving home. And he also liked the idea of starting a company. And here in Sweden, you can actually, go out to, what do you call that? If you have an invention, you can say, hey, I would like to have some funding for this.
Yeah, for government.
Yeah, just to start up a new business.
Yeah.
So we went and we made a business plan, and the lucky thing was that the guy that actually took the decisions at that government or whatever.
Yeah.
He was living in Bergsbyn, the village we were growing up in. And we were, he remembered everything, how we built the course. I was in the newspaper for like 10 years because I was winning, and Svante then came.
Yeah.
So he knew about us, and he had a belief in it. Yeah, you should know the discs. So yeah, here we have like 2,000 euros or something. It wasn't much, but so we took those money and made kind of a mold. We could call it a mold, but it was more like 2 plates.
Yeah.
With one top of the disc and one with the bottom of the disc.
Okay.
Which is not how you make it, if you're curious. But anyhow, we made that, and then we went to a local plastic company and hey, can you try this? And okay, yeah, maybe. And we showed them the plastic in the Millennium discs. We want something like this, and this is so heavy. This must be iron in it, in the rim or whatever. So they didn't have a clue. So the first batch we tested was like PVC. Very soft PVC, which doesn't say shit if you don't know plastic, but it was completely wrong plastic. It felt kind of great. It was kind of rubbery feeling to it, but it was so soft. So when you actually took it out of the mold, it kind of completely collapsed. So it looked like a French, is it called Basker? No?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a,
Yeah.
It was complete trash. And we kind of just stood there by the machine and, okay, that's it. Like, okay. And because it looked so good in the mold when it was kind of stuck in the mold, then it looked, that looks great. But anyhow, he wanted to clean the machine because you have to clean it up from the plastic. And then he used a different plastic, which is a, bucket plastic, pretty much. And he made some shots with that plastic, and suddenly the disc, it came out like a disc anyway.
Okay.
But it only weighed like 100 grams, which was kind of stupid. But they had kind of the same shape as my drawing were.
Yeah.
So we went out on the parking lot and threw them for like 40 meters. And because we thought that, okay, this is just 100 grams. If you throw it like 40 meters, then it can, tell if it's going to be overstable. I wanted more like an overstable mid-range.
Yeah.
And it actually flew like that pretty much. So then we decided, okay, it seems like Tomas knows what he's doing. And we just need more money. I worked at a print shop at the time. Svante was a psychologist. Psychologist. We have different works, and I didn't have any money at the time. So we went to the bank. We tried like 5 different banks, and the last one we stepped in there with our business plan and our really bad, super stiff plastic prototype. And hey, we think this is a great idea. And the guy in charge on that bank was born, or at least living in Bergsbyn, the same village we grew up in. So, and he had played disc golf with his sons.
Yeah, so he couldn't say no.
No, he was, you guys should know. I have seen your work on the course and how good you have been. So, let's do it. But you have to sign off, you have to sign pretty much your car and everything to back it up. But we borrowed a couple of grands, and made 3 discs out of those money.
Okay.
The Seniors, Medius, and Primitus.
Yeah. First few molds were quite unique and something we haven't seen before. Like Spike and Sinus had the thumb grips, and the famous grip line plastic was something totally unique that came to Medius and the driver Primitus. Could you tell a little background for a few of those first discs and plastic, where the idea started for these molds?
Yeah, that was a steep learning curve for me, because what people don't know, you have to actually calculate how much volume you have in the disc, and then you have to calculate that with the weight of the plastic, because you can end up with a plastic that weighs like 250 grams, or the disc is weighing that.
Yeah.
If you make it wrong, and then it could be too light. So you have to pick some type of plastic, or even like we do today, you custom make plastic to fit your molds, or so you have the right density. But at the time, we just went to a different plastic company, because we were kind of let down of the other company, because they didn't know shit. We thought so, but it isn't easy.
Yeah.
So we went to the other company, and they had some samples, like almost like ice scrapes you have on a car, so you can actually feel the plastic.
Okay.
And then we just picked a few. This feels kind of great. And we were looking for plastic that felt like the early prototype Omegas for the putters, because that was my and Svante's main putter. We really liked that kind of a rubbery feel, but it was not sticky, but it was kind of so that's how we found kind of the Zero line, which was then kind of a little bit more custom made. And about the grip line, that was something we wanted, something more like a type of a pro plastic, but with better grip. And of course, we wanted more durability than the Zero line. The only problem with that plastic was that it has a lot of shrinkage. And that's why you got those, really domey discs that was kind of pop, blop, blop. Yeah, that was kind of crazy sounding, and which we later changed. Also, we mixed in a different polymer into that plastic. So the last grip lines we made were not the same as the first batch.
Where the idea for the Spike and Sinus, the thumb grips, where that came?
That came from me, I would say, because I wanted something to kind of stick out from the rest of the guys. Unique, yeah. And I thought that could be something that people would like, and some would hate, but you can still have your thumb between them. You can choose. And there were also different, structures on them. So, and later on we found out that in rain, it actually works.
Yeah.
It feels better in rain. You have a better grip with the thumb.
Yeah.
So that idea just came from there. Mostly a gimmick, I would say. Yeah. Just to stand out.
PG Podcast.
So a few years later, 2008 and 2009 were a big step for Latitude 64. You guys got your good friend Jesper Lundmark to Team Latitude 64, and also you guys introduced new plastic blend called Optoline and released 8 molds in 1.5 years. Jesper won European Open Major using only Latitude 64 discs on his first year, 2009. Yes. How big that time was for the company, and where the kind of idea came that, okay, now we are start making crazy amount of molds, I would say. And
it started like a garage company. We had our own jobs the first 4 years. Yeah. Me and Linus Ekström, which is a son of Johan, actually signed on 2009 or maybe 2010.
He was the kind of first full-time employee.
Yeah, me and Linus started at the same time.
Okay.
So we signed with Jesper, and we knew actually that a few of the molds were pretty good. Even though the medias broke in a little bit easy if you had a bang on 3 hit, then it could be screwed. But you can still play, because Linus Åström was also a junior world champion 2005 or something.
Yeah.
And he also went to the USDGC and played pretty good with them.
Yeah, I think he got like around top 10. If it wasn't top 10, like top 15 at least.
Yeah, I think so.
And he played only like Spike and Sinus and one driver.
Spike, Sinus, and Mirus.
Yeah.
I believe. Perhaps he had a Medius, but I can't remember. But you can actually perform with them. And even I, which I had, I had to lay down my Omegas, which I have been putting with like for 10 years. Putted with the Sinus. And I kind of adapt to it. And I believe I have my best putting season with the Sinus, even if you have to aim at the right side.
Yeah, it just ties everything.
Yeah. So it kind of worked, and Jesper obviously saw that when it wasn't completely crap, the disc we were making, but he wanted to have more discs to choose from, and he was missing some of the discs. So when we talked with him and we said, we are coming out in a new plastic. We have already had some prototypes. Maybe we have already released them. But so he felt those. I believe it was the Blitz and the Riot, or
could be Riot and Vision. They came in 2008.
And we told him, we're gonna make disc for you, so you can perform.
Yeah.
What do you want? And he said, I really don't like the Spike, just because it's a little bit too shallow for me, a bit too fast. So I want something in between. He was putting with a Avior or something.
Avior or Omega, probably Avior.
Avior. I think he switched to Avior. Anyhow, in between the Avior and the Spike, I would like to have a disc. And then we have the Pure.
Yeah.
And he wanted a new mid-range. He could throw the Medius, but it was too stable. He wanted something that could drift a little bit more to the right. And then we made a Fuse. He also wanted some Faber driver, which could replace something he was throwing. And that became the Striker. And then later on, the Halo also came.
Yeah, for
faster drivers. Yeah, and I used that a lot.
And then he went and won the major at Epila European Open.
Yeah,
with only those discs.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a pretty big thing back then.
It was. Yeah, it was kind of. I couldn't really believe my eyes. I mean, I could believe it because I've been playing with Jesper for years and years. And I said he can play with a spare wheel. He will still beat the whole Europe with 20 shots. Because it doesn't matter really what he throws. He just needs to know how they will fly, and he will beat everybody. Because he was sinking putts for like 40 meters at the time.
So competitive.
Yeah, but still, when he was standing there, I was kind of, wow.
Yeah.
What have we done? Like Ken Kleinmott, Feldberg, Doss, everyone was beaten by a company that has been alive for like 4 years.
Yeah, and literally make like, I would say, full-time discs for like a year.
Yeah, so that was kind of, mind-blowing.
And it was kind of crazy that 2008, Jesper won Järva, SDGO, that, and then next week, Scandinavian Open here at Skellefteå. So he won his first major 2008. So back then he played, I guess, with Innova discs, and then he switched all his bag and then won next year again a major with totally different, and he had played the disc for like few months. So I think that was kind of
a proof that our discs are as good as the others.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of taste.
And a player.
Yeah.
End of 2009, you guys also introduced the cooperation with Westside Discs, which nowadays is owned 50-50 between you guys and Dynamic Discs. Was the intention right away that at some point you guys produce discs also for other than just Latitude?
No, it wasn't. As a new company, it's kind of hard to, get into the business because there's so many stores that are selling discs. At the time, we had some distributors in the States, but it was kind of slow, especially during that time. And then Janne from Westside came because he was kind of distributor of our products in Finland.
Yeah.
And he kind of came up with an idea, can you make a disc for me? Yeah, maybe. How much do you want to pay?
Yeah.
And we kind of, we wrote a contract that, you know, we can make the discs. We're gonna, we don't have to go into the contract. And he was kind of wealthy, I guess.
Yeah.
I heard some rumors, and we had heard some rumors before. So he had a rumor of being a multimillionaire.
Okay.
And so we asked, okay, what do you want? I want a putter called Swan. And we kind of laughed. What about the Swan? We didn't get it.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Swan and some other discs, and he sent the money like right away, like the day after we had the money.
Yeah.
So we had, you know, okay, wow, this guy is serious.
Yeah.
We have to, you know,
Let's
do
make,
this.
Yeah,
let's make a disc. And so we did that, and that was a great, you know, help to the company because we can spread our products, you know, wider.
Yeah.
You can go into a new market because the Finnish market a little bit different from Swedish market, I guess.
Yeah.
A little more. You like the Finnish stuff.
Yeah.
And Janne was afraid that, you know, it's made in Sweden, you know. What's the Finn gonna think about that? Yeah, they hate the Swedes. Yeah, okay, but you have to have the origin of the manufacturer on it because otherwise it's, you know, not legal.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But he had his, you know, the Finnish Kalevala and everything on it, so it went pretty well. So yeah, I'm very thankful for Janne coming to us.
Yeah.
With that.
PG Podcast.
Then, end of 2012, cooperation with Dynamic Disc started, and that have been definitely the biggest boost and turning point for the company. I checked that from end of 2008, when you guys start making the Opto and kind of really boost the Latitude, then Westside and then DD. So end of 2008 to end of 2013, so 5-year period, you designed 50 molds total to all these 3 different companies. How crazy those times were.
I won't say it was crazy because it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Because things were moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I mean, we were spending a lot of money on molds, and I was kind of fresh, even though I think I knew what I did.
Yeah.
We learned a lot those years because we went from hiring our machines. I mean, a subcontractor made the discs until 2011 or something.
Okay. Then you guys started to make
them.
Then
we bought our own machines and started to produce them ourselves, which also was a steep learning curve, which was never heard of doing business like that because you have a kind of $1 million investment and none of us have ever, you know, being behind the machine and running it.
Yeah.
So we sent Linus to the subcontractor for a crash course for 1 week. They were kind of, that was kind of neat of them to just, you know, let Linus learn a little bit more about. I knew everything about the theory about it and how what you should change and stuff like that. But it's a completely different story standing behind the machine and pressing in values. So what we were talking about, DD.
And like overall that
the 50 molds.
And it kind of like Latitude was kind of a small company in the first, and then with these 2 different cooperation, it kind of like, and then obviously DD instead started to
push our brands.
Yeah, so it kind of like, even though Latitude was already like 8 years old company, it kind of still when the grew kind of like started, it was steep and fast. So
looking back at it, I think it was a good thing because we could take those 4 to 5, 6 first years to learn
how to actually make.
Yeah, and so that helped us a lot when we were actually facing, DD wants like 7 new molds next year. Okay. And Johnny is like, he'll have already paid for 5 new molds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of testing and a lot of, it was kind of fun, yeah.
Yeah. And you were probably, because you have been the Professor Plaston, and so I guess for you it was some sort of dream to actually now create these discs and 3 different companies, and yeah.
Yeah, in a sense, yes. But I have to confess that I never been, maybe, in the first years, I kind of had I tried to learn more. But, it felt like, okay, I can't do that crazy things right now, putting thumb pads on disc, or because people are kind of, what's that? I don't recognize that. I don't want to buy it. So I had to, make this more like mainstream.
Yeah.
And then when everything took off, it was just filling the gaps in the flight chart.
Yeah,
pretty much. That was just.
Yeah.
And I didn't have time to. I still have some ideas how I can. I have said that for like 5 years now, but I still haven't had time to, or it hasn't been a priority to make a new disc that could look a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is the time to do it. Now we are kind of recognized, and people know about us.
Yeah.
We tried that with the Nissinen and the Raketen.
Yeah.
PG Podcast.
So now 2020, you have designed total of 158 molds for 4 different companies after the recent Discmania edition in 2019, which makes you the second most disc golf mold designed guy after Innova's Dave Dunipace. For you, what kind of process it usually is to design a new disc?
Usually it is collecting info. What we want, or what DD wants, or what Westside
would like to have, or now Discmania.
Yeah, so that's kind of the main thing. We are talking about, we have some meetings, and obviously we have a huge product catalog we can actually choose from today, and we can say, okay, the villain wasn't a great disc, but if you can kind of make a different villain with more fade or more turn or whatever, then you have a kind of a base to talk about, which helps me a lot, especially when the first time Jeremy came to us and can you make a driver, a mid-range, and a putter? I told him, I can do that, but what do you want? I want something that flies. Of course, but what kind of stability do you want? Do you have something that you can compare it to? And that's how it goes. So he kind of could have said, like, okay, I really like the whatever, the Pure or whatever that was on the market.
Striker.
But make it more stable or something like that. So that's how it goes. And then based on that information, I just sit down with my computer and start a drawing.
Make adjustments and
those tiny adjustments I told you about.
It's crazy. Like when I'm a big a disc nerd, and I want to know a lot of disc golf and different discs, and it's crazy if we are looking like human eye at like a disc, and then you say, because 1/10 of a millimeter can make a difference, and that's human eye really can't see it if you are not professor to and know what to look. So it's actually it's quite crazy
it is.
see all the minor changes, because people think that in a market there is a lot of discs and this is same than this or this is same than that. It's there is actually difference, and it's quite hard to see from my.
It is, and I rarely see YouTube reviews or look at them. But whenever I see them, they usually compare the discs, and this is similar, or this is exactly like this disc, and in my eyes they are completely different.
Yeah.
But in a on a layman term, or what do you call it? If you just compare the big part, okay, this is has a bead and this has a rounded shoulder.
Yeah.
Then it's this is so close.
Yeah. Exactly.
But when we're talking about like 1/10 of a millimeter, and I know how much it can make, the difference of the flight.
Yeah.
But of course, there are gonna be discs that are very, very, very close to each other.
Yeah.
Just because of that. First of all, we have the rules we have to follow.
Yeah.
And people are used to feel a certain disc, or so obviously we're gonna have discs that are really, really close to each other.
Yeah.
As and in some cases you can't design a disc way different and still achieve the same flight.
Yeah. Especially when we talk about it, have a same diameter and same weight.
Yeah.
So it's just like physics just tells that it's impossible.
Yeah.
For that, PDGA rules have been quite the same for a very long time.
Yeah.
Do you see that PDGA should change some rules when it comes to this design, so we could see like something? Is it the diameter or adding weight, or what could it be?
I think I was in a survey answering those questions from PDGA.
Okay.
I think that they did a survey between our manufacturers what we were thinking, about how sharp it is, or should we go down to 150, or and my honest answer is it doesn't matter if you got hit by a 150 class disc or 175 disc.
Yeah.
On the bone in your face, it's still gonna cut you open.
Yeah, especially
because of the spin and the
speed that people throw.
Especially the spin, I would say, because if you got hit with a putter on the nose, it will tear you up, or the eyebrow or something. But of course, if you're not prepared for it and you got hit in a public park and they pick up the disc and they have a big cut in their face, they're gonna think the really pointed disc is a weapon.
Yeah.
But I don't think we'll
see some dramatic
no, I don't
changes.
think so. And I think it would be very hard to do, because there's a lot of millions invested in molds. And there are people or companies are relying on and still selling for 25 years.
Yeah.
I think that will be very, very difficult for PGA to actually pull it off.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you can go down. You don't have to have those 26 millimeter wide rim drivers, because most people don't like them anyway. You should narrow that down to 23 maybe. Then you have to of course pick out our Gladiator or the Boss, or I can't remember Discraft's most popular molds, but there's a few of them. But if you're gonna change just the leading edge or the edge of the disc, then you have big problems. I think that's too much money for the manufacturers. You will kill them pretty much. And also I seen the players really likes the disc today. It's a completely different sport. It's actually a sports equipment. Instead of just a frisbee.
Yeah, they are very. I think nowadays they are very accurate, and they fly far, and they look good. Like on European Open with 5,000 people watching, it's kind of cool to have a bright color frisbee or disc flying 150 meters accurate. It's a beautiful thing, and I think we will go with these equipments.
I think it's much better which I think PGA have been working on, working on the security around the courses, which is the most crucial thing. Even though if you're just gonna throw like frisbees, you still have to have signs. You're entering a course here. Watch out. I mean, that should be. You don't go to ball golf course middle of there and picnic. Exactly.
You know what it is, but.
Do you know why they have those rules?
No.
Have you heard that?
No.
It actually came from 89.
Okay.
a guy in Texas wanted to make a disc that flew, further than everything.
Okay.
And he came to England. I can't remember the name of the guy.
Yeah.
With a disc called Flazer.
Okay.
And it was sharp as a knife. And it was in a plastic. You can even bend it.
Okay, so
pretty
it's
much
stiff.
It was stiff, and
rock.
it was and the rim was wide. It
Yeah.
was. I can't remember. I still have one, I guess, but it was really wide rim.
Yeah.
It was like sharp as hell. You can actually cut the wood in it, cut wood of it. I mean. So he was going around and promoting that, but the bad thing that his run was so bad, so some of the disc was rolling and some was too overstable, so it was all over the place.
Yeah, okay.
And he wanted every distance champion because that was during the Worlds in '89 in Colchester. And during the distance final, he kind of gave stacks of discs to the champions to try out. And at the time, the Phoenix from Inama was the champion. They had the distance record.
Yeah.
But anyhow, that kind of spread, and I don't know what happened in the States, but that was a weapon. That was a murder weapon.
Yeah.
Because I took it home. I think I had two. Tested out on a field, and I had a big wooden fence next to it, and it kind of faded in there into the fence, and it stuck in the fence.
So it could have stuck in the skull. It
kind of seems crazy, but it carved a splinter, so it's kind of standing in the fence, and I don't want to throw this on a course because then our course was in the middle of a suburb or whatever it is, was bicycles, paths and everything, and so that was kind of crazy. And in PGA, yes, I guess they realized this is going out of control.
Yeah, so they put it strict rules.
Yeah, they had to come up with a restriction.
Yeah.
So that's why we have those rules.
Okay, quite crazy story.
PG Podcast.
So Latitude 64 as a manufacturer is known for the top quality, I guess most automatic production and consistent disc run after run. Was it clear from the first day that you guys want to focus making the production as automatic and consistent as possible?
We wanted to make quality discs. That was kind of the main target, which wasn't easy and still isn't easy. Even though if we have learned a lot during the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Because when we were curious about making a disc, I have played for 20 years and Svante played with. And like I told you in the beginning of this interview, we could actually tell the difference between the discs, even if there were kind of stacks we got. So the inconsistency was a problem even from the beginning.
Yeah.
And have been, all of the years. So we felt that can we make more consistent products that would be a good help for many players in the world. So that was kind of the first goal we set up. We should make better quality overall.
Yeah.
Which was kind of, it's easy to say and put on a paper, but it's a lot tougher to actually do it.
Yeah, I remember when you told me that you guys thought about in the beginning that when you set up the mold to machine and then you run them with different setups and then you are like, okay, looking the disc, okay, now it's a perfect and it flies perfect. Let's save these numbers.
Yeah.
And then when next time we run it, it will be exact the same. And then you realized right after it's not going to work that way. And it's like everyday learning and and we can say it's impossible when we are working with plastic. It's actually impossible to make exact same disc. So it is just
maybe it's not impossible. I mean, of course you can invest a lot of time and you can have a vacuum chamber in a controlled environment, which
you
kind of have, but
disc in the lab or something.
Yeah, of course, but then the disc will cost like $1,000 each.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to pay that. So so we started out going out. Okay, this is gonna be the disc from Sweden. We can manufacture good quality. Look at the Volvo, whatever we were talking about, and just a year after we just realized, okay, this is gonna be a problem because the subcontractor they didn't know anything about discs.
Yeah.
So I went there every lunch and every evening, almost every morning, just to see how the production went, and almost every day. I had some remarks. This is wrong. You look at the top; it's just concave, or this is too much, or it could be pretty much everything. And sometimes there was a big, bump in the disc, and I told the CEO at that factory, we can't pay for this. What do you mean? You can hold your thumb on that, okay, it doesn't work like that. So. Yeah. So the first year was, some runs were really, really good, and some runs were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it came down to now we're scrapping like 50% of the runs, and they were kind of we can't do this, or you have to pay more for the discs, and they kind of almost like said, you should take that, or.
Make own
so that's why we kind of started to look at our own machines and our own production facility. So,
and it's been a great learning curve last 15 years.
Oh yeah.
So now you can say now you know a bit more, but still we're not still on the finish line. There's still lots of things we learn every day.
We learn every day, and then we're still finding bits and pieces we can make better. We have a few things coming that will help the quality and the feel of the products. So that will be good.
Yeah.
But I would never, if you had asked me like 10 years ago, I would say, of course, you're going to make, every disc is going to be consistent.
Yeah, the exact same, but it's not going to be like that.
No, unfortunately, I can't.
Especially on like, with putters, yes, a lot easier. But like fast drivers, it's just a combination of everything but
still we are focusing really hard on the quality, and we have I haven't been to another factory, and I guess they won't let me in, but I still think we have one of the best quality checks,
consistency, run after run. So
Powergrip Podcast.
Let's take a few questions from the fans. Let's take this easy one. Janne Hirschmäki asks, why does Finland always win over Sweden in ice hockey?
That's a good question, Janne. When were you born?
Yeah.
We have always beaten Finland until like when you became the world champion.
Yeah, like the last few years. Yeah. Historically, we are probably quite a lot of like Sweden is leading probably.
Yeah, I think so. But I love those games. They're the best games. And I have full respect for Finnish hockey. They're great. I really like the kind of what do you call that?
Yeah.
Those fights.
Yeah. So Janne have another question. Why haven't any company enforced the ability to use other materials inside discs other than sparkle chameleon decoration? So there's nothing inside.
No, it's just because it's kind of difficult to add something different in the plastic mix.
Yeah.
You kind of end up breaking the machine if you're gonna have like whatever.
Yeah, metal
or something. Then you will pretty much wear down the machine.
Yeah. So it's more about these like effects on.
But you can. We are mixing plastics and stuff like that. But taking something in like stones, wouldn't work.
Yeah. So maybe
because everything has to come out from the center of the disc. If you look at the bottom of the disc, you can see
where the
where the intake
Exactly.
is.
So next question, coming from Ari Penttala, and
Hello, Ari.
so when he played with you first time, he noticed that you have some sort of like superstition that when you have a scorecard in your group, you always play bad on those 4 or 5 hole stretch when you have to add the scores. Do you still have the same problem?
Yes.
Which doesn't make any sense.
I don't know this season, but it has been following me for like 35 years, so I guess it's the same. I must have told Ari in the Finnish Open or something.
Yeah.
Yes, I actually calculated on this, and roughly I would say I'm average +2 on those 5 holes over 30 years.
Which doesn't make any sense.
No, because I don't think about it. I don't think about, okay, I have the scorecard, now I'm gonna suck.
It's just
It's just, you have spit outs, you have rollaways, something will happen. Usually.
So it's some sort of curse.
Yeah,
just for you.
it's a kind of a curse, yeah. Because whenever I come to a course, okay, there's a water hole.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's your time to have the scorecard. Then I know, okay, this is gonna be a nightmare. Double OB in the water.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm superstitious that way.
Yeah.
PG Podcast.
Markus Mäkinen asked, was the optoplastic that much different than like 6-7 years ago, or has it aged like a good wine? It feels that gummier and seems to be durable. Doesn't splinter mainly, gets minor dents. And what happened to the best overstable fairway driver, Saint? It used to be less stable, now it feels like overstable.
The Saint?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
But let's take was the optoplastic that much different than 6-7 years ago?
No, not really. But everything ages. So if you have a disc from like 7 years ago, it will age. And
it's aged like a good wine. Some sense.
Yeah, kind of.
Some people might
or
like.
It could be a bad wine as well. But my fuse is still very, very good.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, every plastic will age.
Okay.
You guys are too young, but in the past, when we have only Innova or Discraft making discs, they have like DX, and some runs they broke after a couple of years. So your favorite putter will break.
Yeah. Yeah. So
split in two, and not just because of the age of the material.
Do you think like if we have like an opto disc, do you think it age and could that like destroy in like when it's like 30 years old and then you hit the tree? Do you think it?
No, it will never kind of
like lose
split in two or something.
Durability. Okay.
No, I don't think so. But the surface will be different, definitely, and about cracks or splinters or whatever.
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about it.
Yeah. And then the question also was about the Saint. It used to be less stable. Now it feels like overstable. Did the mold change, or am I aging and losing it? I
know that feeling. The last. The good thing or the bad thing in this case, that was the Saint was really, really good in the beginning.
Okay.
And we kind of deliberately changed our machine settings to have a more consistent runs. So many discs changed over a year in the flight.
Yeah.
So people that were used to some run back in the days, which could be whatever because we were so inconsistent, can have a kind of a memory of, okay, the Saint was understable. But that could just have been that run.
Yeah.
And so when we kind of sat down, okay, we have to, look at this inconsistency. We have to make, better discs, more consistent products. We have to make it like this, okay? We can't force the disc to be something it wasn't,
So
it doesn't want to be.
So the drawings have to be what we want, kind of.
Yeah, so we kind of deliberately made that change, and today when you're buying a Saint, a fresh one, it's perhaps more stable than. I know that the Saint was a problem child for a couple of years.
Yeah.
It didn't mold correctly.
Yeah.
But today I think they're a hell of a disc today.
Yeah. Perfect.
On another thing I have to add in this discussion is people are kind of, you can see people are writing on Facebook, okay, I just bought this Saint or whatever, and it's so unstable. And then because we don't have any numbers or dates on the disc when they are produced, it could be a 4-year-old disc. So it's very hard to me to say, okay, sorry, but it could be so. When we are making this today, they will be out on the market like next year. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So it's hard to follow up on. But I think everybody that bought a disc from us the last 4 years will see that consistency.
Yeah, exactly. And he ended the question and thank him for the best disc.
Yeah.
So
you're welcome.
And he have actually an autograph where it's your autograph on the old fuse. So like he had.
Oh my God!
He have chosen the. It looks like the first run fuses.
Is the first run fuse?
Maybe.
Okay.
Perfect. Then next question: what have you been most proud of so far with everything you have achieved with Latitude 64?
Yeah.
It's a big question, kind of.
It is, and when you have been inside for so long time, you rarely go outside and look at it.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
Outside the box.
Outside of the box and just look at it, and but I believe it was like last fall or something. I needed some tool or something, so I went to the factory, and it was actually closed that day. And I went in, and everything was silent, and it's quite big, and it's kind of wow.
Yeah,
I kind of was one of those that started this. That was kind of a moment that I remember. Other than that, I mean, of course, Jesper's first win was kind of cool.
Ricky won 2.
Ricky won 2 world championship. Johnny McRae won 1. We have a lot of success stories to tell.
But I guess like overall that like here we are at the moment, we are here in Skellefteå, and machines are running 100% and everything is like so day to day. So it's, you don't even always kind of think about that. Okay. Like we are making a lot of discs, and there will be lots of people that enjoying playing this sport with those. So I guess sometimes it's hard to understand.
It's really hard to grasp
how much disc golf have grown over the last 10, 20, 30 years.
I remember we had like in the old place, old factory, we had a lot of discs standing on the shelves, and we have refilled the shelves. And I was thinking, who's buying this? I mean, come on, we are making like thousands of just this one, and they are selling out. And today, when you go into to our warehouse, which is just the Europe side of it, it's kind of who's gonna buy this? And it's kind of overwhelming to see. That's cool. Yeah.
Perfect.
But you didn't get any good answer. What I'm most proud of, I believe
just overall.
The full story. I mean, it's just
guys from northern Sweden, small city or town, small city have now not like you guys have put Skellefteå in like the people in America.
That was kind of funny thing. I was in Portland. I believe it was in Portland, or was it Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I was playing a course, and after like 9 holes, I came to a big sign where a lot of, okay, this is the North Pole.
Yeah.
Was like, and then it was like De La Vega, or and then it says Disc Golf Terminalen.
Yeah.
And it was
in Pittsburgh. Yeah.
in Pittsburgh. It was kind of wow, in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I guess
Yeah.
we made
Yeah.
this small town a little bit famous.
Yeah. Exactly. Let's take one more. I guess this is a quite hard question, but
I'll do my best.
Yeah, disc manufacturing and development has already gotten pretty far, but what area do you think we can still be improved or innovated even further and better?
I think still we have things we can work on with the aerodynamics side of things. I don't know if it's gonna, make a huge difference. I don't think so. From my knowledge, it's just gonna be okay, tad better.
Yeah.
Or obviously the material changing because now we have all those discussions about climate change and everything, and obviously the material has to change or will be changed. We don't know yet. Of course, we are also looking at more sustainable products. We will see what's going to happen. I don't think it will be better, but it will be up to par with what we have today, I guess. But of course, like we were talking about, like I probably haven't made the best disc yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to, because it's so small things you can actually manipulate and change, and you have the feel, you have and what is the best disc? That's also a really tricky question. No one can answer that because we have different hands, we have different power, we have so I don't think I can have a good answer on that question if we can improve a lot more. I still think we are improving in some way. Every company out there are still improving because we are obviously competing. And we have to be more and more, thorough. What do we call it? It's difficult
but
to look into. I have to go to a fortune teller or something.
Yeah, and I guess with these PDGA rules, there's like nothing like dramatic. If something dramatic would happen, then also the rules have to change a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. I believe. Of course, if I knew how to make a disc that went like 100 meters further than everything else in the same rules, I think the sport will change too much. Because everybody would love to have like 100 meter extra on their drives. But I think that will almost ruin the sport also.
PG Podcast.
Here was all the questions. I want to thank you, Tomas, for coming to this podcast. Do you have any last words to listeners?
Stay healthy.
Stay healthy.
It's the
enjoy
most valuable thing you have in life. Health.
Perfect. Now I want to thank you, all the listeners, and we will see you in the next episodes. Thank you, Tomas, for visiting.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.